Ryan, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
I'm grateful to be included. My name is Ryan Gray, and I'm sort of a bit of a bolstering writer right now. I just released my first book last November, and hopefully the second book will be released sometime later this year. But yeah, they're both they're connected. They're one. This is volume one and volume two.
Amazing. I would love if you could tell us what your books are about.
Um, so genre wise, I would probably say creative nonfiction. Um, they're kind of like memoirs. Uh, I don't want to say that, I apparently can't say that a book is both nonfiction and fiction. It has to be one or the other, I'm told. But it's modeled mostly after my favorite book, On the Road, by Kerouac. So the writing style is similar. The format of the book is similar. Um, but essentially, the book, it's called Twilight in York. Essentially, it's Twilight because it I talk about the sort of the last those final months before I got clean. The period of time, maybe about 5 months of time where I was on and off the street, um, struggling with addiction. So in that sense, it's a bit of a memoir. It's just about that period of time. You know, just Twilight period, as in the Twilight period between using and being an active drug addict and getting clean. So that sort of um, intermediate stage. It's just essentially a memoir about that time period.
Amazing. What inspired you to write your book?
Well, I went to school at University of North Carolina, Asheville campus. It's a liberal arts school, and I studied creative writing. I think I wrote a short story that was about that time period I was discussing, and I think it just kind of caught on. Like my it was for a workshop class, and my fellow students were kind of blown away by it, and were suggesting, well, you should tell the whole story, frame you use the expression frame by frame. So essentially at that point I committed to um, just kind of writing everything down and getting everything chronological, and like I said, frame by frame, just turning that short story into a full blown, I won't say novel, but book.
Amazing. When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
Um, and the what is it called? The BISAC, where you have to um kind of choose. I don't want to say tags, but um I guess genre. It would be, you would choose your book genre. I kind of chose self-help and memoir. And I mean, on the one hand, um, it's meant as a work of art, something, an act of creativity, like a piece of literature, but it's also aimed to help other people who are on the street, other people who are suffering with addiction, and just kind of saying, hey, I suffered with addiction, and this is what I did, and this is how I got clean. So target audience, I would say, addicts and families of addicts. I've been clean since 2007, which is when the second volume ends. The second volume ends where I get help and go to rehab, and ended up staying clean since then. But I don't. Yeah, other outside of that, as fellow addicts, I think I've tried to write a story that uh, anybody would appreciate. Have some comparable. I already said compared to Kerouac. I've been compared to William S. Burroughs. Um, so also for audience, the I say the Beat Generation. Um, I was compared to Burroughs because of the just the candor of the just the kind of the telling the story of the addict as the addict sees it, and not holding anything back, um, being so forthright about all of it. Um, and other kind of been compared to Charles Bukowski because of the alcoholism and sort of the vagrancy, compared to Orwell. I read a book by George Orwell called Down and Out in Paris and London, and that's about homelessness and unemployment at a time in Paris when just it was very hard to get a job, and almost just as hard to get a place to live. And you know um, those are older comparisons. um, I've also been compared to, um, have you heard of Ariel Holmes? She did a book called, what's it called? Mad Love in New York City, and it was turned into a movie called Heaven Knows What. So that's a more recent comparison. I know the others, Bukowski and Burroughs, and that was all decades and decades ago. But
Amazing.
yeah,
How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
um, I think when probably when I went to college, after high school, because at one point dropped out and went back to UNCA. But I think I started with journaling. Like, I would have sort of this college experiences, and um, I would journal about them, write them down, and just sort of, um, I it took on at that point. I wasn't as serious about it. I wasn't as committed. Didn't really see myself as a writer. Um, I would just journal sometimes, but just over the years, I think studying, because I studied creative writing at UNCA, so that was definitely, that sort of committed, more taking it a little more seriously than I had before. But just writing, like, you know journaling or poetry, or what have you, over the years. Um, and then, like I said, going to school to study it was big.
Amazing. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
Um, I have a sort of a daily quota. Um, when I was writing Twilight in New York, I was writing several hours a day, 5, 6 hours a day. Not that somebody has to write that much. Um, right now, I write about 2 hours a day, um, and I'm trying to build back up to where the amount of writing I was doing before. But yeah, it's just the daily thing, and working it into your routine, as a daily task, something that you do every day. And I would say that's about the schedule. Not too specific as like time of day, but the amount of time every day, I would say.
Mm, amazing. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
I think it helps if I turn my phone off. Um, I have a big, can't really see it. It's kind of blurred, but I have a big, like, how many feet is it? It's like nine. I think it's like a 9 foot dry erase board. Sometimes I'll listen to music. Um, you know, that other than that, I don't know about things that help me focus. Caffeine, I guess. Can't.
Love it.
Yeah. Um,
What is your favorite writing snack and drink?
my favorite writing snack. Um, I just ate a peanut butter and jelly with was it probably for favorite drink would probably just be coffee. I would say nothing overly specific.
Nice. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
Um, I like read. I don't know if literature. Right now I'm reading Swan's Way by Proust. Um, I mentioned the Beat Generation. Big on the Beat Generation. I probably read On the Road and Dharma Bums at least 4 or 5 times, and I just reread a book called The First Third by Neil Cassidy. It was the that sort of iconic urban cowboy of the Kerouac's works. He was the had his name changed to Dean Moriarty in On the Road, and I think Cody Pomeroy in some of the other books. But yeah, right now it's a bit of a slow uphill read. The I think I kind of discovered where Kerouac gets his long sentences and paragraphs from, not trying to avoid using the period, because I think it was from reading Proust, because Proust I mean his sentences and his paragraphs are just so long. Um, but that's my current reading right now. I haven't been reading as much as I would like to. Um, I think I've heard that you're supposed to, read 4 times as much as you write, or something crazy like that. Um, but
Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
Yeah, I would say I know I keep talking about Kerouac, but that was definitely a source of inspiration. What else? Who else? I'm trying to think. Um, Orwell, Burroughs, all the Beat Generation. I'm real big on Beat Generation. Any of those books. Naked Lunch, Junkie, Howl by Ginsberg. Any of those guys, really.
Amazing. What books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
Books that I grew up reading. I remember I was sort of into horror a little bit. I remember when I was really young, I liked um, Madeline Langle a lot. She's like a kid or children's, not only children's author, but wrote well, Wind in the Door, Wrinkle in Time is the her biggest one, Wrinkle in Time. I don't know what else. Um, Trying to remember. I liked when I was pretty young. I liked 2001: Space Odyssey a lot. Um, I've read that a few times. Watched the movie plenty of times. Can't think of what else.
No worries. On the other side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or authors that if they come out with something, you automatically grab it?
Um, I haven't really. What was the last? I think the last. I read a lot of literature. Not as big on stuff that's coming out. I just bought Hunger by Newt Hampson. Um, there's the Mad Love in New York City. I mentioned that. Um, Read what was it? Annihilation, um, which was also made into a movie. What else? I'm trying to think of newer stuff. Uh, what was it? Oh, Shogun. Oh, I forget the name of the author. What else? Yeah, most of the time that uh, I'm more on the literature side of things. I don't know if that's because that's what was drilled into me when I was in college or what. But
Amazing. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
one thing that motivates me to read is by being in a like a book club because yeah, I think that kind of has the tendency to motivate a person to read more if they are they have a a deadline, um, and they have to. So that's one thing. Like the Swan's Way. What was the name of the? I'm trying to remember the name of the Remembrance of Things Past. It's part of a like a I guess a series, but I'm reading that with my cousin who reads um, a few books a week. Um, Not that I'm able to keep up with him, but that's one thing that helps me to be motivated to read. And um, Goodreads is a good resource. You can find other readers out there who read similar books and see what they wrote, what they read, and the reviews they gave. And as a resource. Goodreads is pretty good. They have like have I know UNCA has they're essentially classes that aren't um, exclusively for students. I forget the name of the class, what the name of the classes are, but they're essentially classes that pay a moderate amount of money. I think it was paid like $250 or something for a few hours a week. So you can, if you reach out to your local universities or schools, and sometimes they'll have classes that you can actually take. And you can take a class that's a literature class or just a book reading class or so, anything like that.
Amazing. On the other side of that, what would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
Um, kind of, kind of what I was saying earlier. The amount of time every day. If you can work it out so that you have as a habit, um, like a part of your day, like every day I walk the dog, every day I clean the room in the house. If you can get that habit going, where you're writing every day. And I also didn't go from um, not writing to writing 5.5 hours a day. I went up in increments. Like first week I would write an hour, and do that for a few weeks, and then go up to 2 hours and do that, and then do 3 hours, 4 hours. So not to be goal. The goal isn't to be overwhelmed. You don't want to. I think Stephen King writes like 8 hours a day, or maybe around that. But yeah, the goal isn't to. You don't want to be overwhelmed because you think you have to write at 8 hours a day, because you don't. You just start small, and when you're ready to write more, then you kind of go up in increments. That's what I did. I um, just in sort of baby steps.
Amazing. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Like I was saying, I got clean in 2007, so 16 years. Um, I would say that's pretty big. Like I tell people I've been clean for 16 years, clean and sober. Um, I don't know what else. That I have a published book, I guess.
Amazing. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
Yeah, I thought I would read some excerpts from my book. Can I do that? They're just two excerpts. It's like three paragraphs total. So this is from this is from the first chapter. When they finally went to bed, I lay there feeling alive. The sounds on the street carried in through the open windows, though it had died down into the late hours of the night. Silent, but for an occasional car driving past, a drunk or a whore yelling down the street corridors, shrill voices lamenting, undulating, penetrating through every open window for blocks, coloring dreams as the city slept. Outside, the world was alight in an eerie, bright orange glow from the street lamps. The old dirty windows blurred and refracted the light, accentuating it, making the whole world orange. A breeze came in through the open windows, and it felt cool and good. The sounds of locusts were serene and in harmony. The balmy air had cleansed that funky indoor stuffiness smell created by the three of us in a tight space and cleared away the musty smell sealed in the old house. And as the air filled the room, I fell asleep on a soft cloud of tranquility. And then that was the first. That was the first. This one is two paragraphs from later in the book. I don't know what chapter this is. Chapter 11. We were supposed to meet at the same tattoo parlor, the one right next to the meeting, our usual meeting spot, and she made me promise I would come. It was the first and only time we planned to do something beyond spend time in her garage or look at tattoo art, like an unofficial date. I took the bus to where we were meeting, an hour late. I saw her through the window waiting for me, but I did not get off. And I saw the look on her face as the bus drove past. When it hit her, I was not coming. I saw such pain and terror on her face, a lostness. She knew when she saw the doors closed, when I did not get off, that I was not coming, and she knew what it meant. Of course she did. I really hope to God she did know because I had stood her up. I was afraid I had broken her heart. I saw Lenore's face as I hid mine. It was a face of utter dejection, of heartbreak undescribable I knew I had caused. A face of loss like the faces of denizens after a town had been burned to the ground or swallowed up in a tidal wave. Catastrophes carrying away all, even the ashen smoke of memories. Loss, tremendous loss, just desperately clutched at in the biting cold. I saw in her face whatever crude, despairing, mortal pain preceded grief. And oh, words may contain little, for in their utter failure at the task, their practice and art proven at tremendous lacking, their work is not even enough to betray a semblance of what I saw. Her face, pale and flushed, was a beautiful but morose medley, an ode about an ocean with its bottom carved out by a dull rusted blade. Her eyes were downcast, tethered by the immense, implicable weight of sorrow. Woman, oh woman.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing those. Where is the best place for readers to find your book? Is signed copies an option and the best place to connect with you?
Yes, the if you I usually direct everybody to Amazon. Um, Not that that's the best place, but it's probably the easiest. And I also have a website, twilightinyork.com, which has a link to Amazon. I would go to Amazon. Um, if somebody wanted a signed copy, I'd probably say to email me, and put that in the description, or my email address is rgray, as in rgray, at alumni.unca.edu, and I can send a signed copy that way.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Glad I could be here.